Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Spartacus, and today we are going to do something different that I'm really excited for. We're doing player rankings, and I got this idea from BLM at the Meridian Review, and really what he does is exactly what I'm going to do. He did it with Borneo, Australia, Africa, 41, and Winners at War. I believe those are the seasons that he has done player rankings for. But now I'm going to do it for one of my favorite seasons, Cambodia Second Chance. So let's go. We're going to start with 20, and then we're going to go down to who I think is the best. And before we start, I actually want to say, in a lot of my videos, almost all of my videos, I say that if people get the votes to win, then they deserve to win, even if it's a controversial win. However, the player that I think is best here may not be the winner. It might. You'll have to wait and see. It may not, though, because though I think the person who gets the votes to win does deserve to win, it doesn't mean that I think that he or she is necessarily the best player in the game. So let's start. So for number 20, these first couple are actually very difficult because most of these people are very invisible throughout the pre-merge, and it has, the big characters in the pre-merge being like Cass, Kelly, Jeremy, Terry, and Savage, but so this one is very difficult to do for these first few because they're very invisible. But for the first one, I do have Monica, and you would expect it to be the first boot, but it's not. And Monica was, again, very invisible. I didn't even like her game in Samoa, but she was brought back, she was voted in, and the reason I have her as the worst player is because we already know she didn't do anything strategic or to help her tribe in any ways, but what she did do was get in a fight about depleting the ocean. Well, you need fish to be on Survivor. So, but yes, I do think that she is the worst player on the season because though she is very invisible, the only thing we did see her do was get into a fight, which is bad for her game. So I do think that she is the worst player in the season. So for number 19, I do have the first boot, and that is Vitas. Much like Monica, he did do a lot to hurt his game in the first episode. However, he did try to do better. Like, he tried to make connections with his tribe. He just wasn't able to. And that's why I have him better than Monica, because he actually did try, whereas Monica just didn't want to. So he is number 19. Number 18, I have Wu. And Wu, this was a very difficult one because he was incredibly invisible in this season. Uh, Even in his boot episode, he has very few confessionals. However, I did put him at 18 better than Vitas and Monica because he did last longer. And so I did put him higher up in the rankings than they did, even though there's really nothing bad about his game or good. And he got voted out because he was likable. So, yes, he is 18. Number 17, I have Shirin. And Shirin is exactly with Wu, except for she did try to make more connections, and that is why she is higher than Wu. Number 16, I have Fiji. And Fiji got into fights with Abby Maria, which, I mean, that's not solely her fault. It is Abby Maria. And so I do have her at 16. She did make it further, and she was more visible in the game. But, I mean, because of the fights and because she wasn't really trying to get anyone to be like, hey, let's do this. Let's get Abby out. Or, Jeremy's main strategy in this game was to bring goats to the end. And so even just try to avoid Abby and keep her in. But she is 16. Number 15, I have Kelly Wigglesworth. And Kelly Wigglesworth, just like Wu and Shirin, she was very invisible. However, we did see in a post-season interview, one of the players said that they got her out because she was a huge strategic threat or social threat, and she was making too many friends with the jury, and so that's why they voted her out. So number 14, I have Abby Maria, and I have her on here because people wanted to take her to the end. They actively wanted to take her to the end. She got voted out because people were scared that that's taking up a spot in the final three, and that's why she was voted out. But that's why I have her here at 14 instead of one of those lower spots, because people were actively thinking I should take her to the end. So number 13, I have Kimmy, and this is a really tough one. She played a good game in the merge, but in the pre-merge, she got into fights with Monica, and she wouldn't participate in challenges when she was supposed to. And so I did have her very low, even though her game in the merge was okay. It's just this is a game where this is a season where people came to play. And so those people, there's a bunch of them, are all moved up. And one of those people is Terry. And this is a difficult one because Terry was in an iffy spot when he got pulled out of the game. And he got pulled out because his son was in the hospital and he had to go. But he was doing iffy, again, like I said, but he was doing great at making social connections the entire time. And that's why I have him at number 12. So for number 11, I have Varner. And I mean, he got voted out pre-merge. And this is tricky now to say good things about him because I feel like I'm going to get negative reviews. But based off what he did in Survivor Game Changers. But he in Cambodia, I do think that he was doing good, but in the sense that he was actively trying to form relationships and be strategic. However, I do not think that he could accomplish that, which is a knock against his game, obviously. But the fact that he was trying to do better shows that he should be here at number 11. Okay, now we are in the top 10. All of these people are here to play the game, and they are good players. And the first one in the top 10, number 10, is Sierra. And Sierra, you could agree that she did follow Kelly Wentworth a lot of the time, but I do think that a lot of this was her idea to blindside Andrew Savage, her idea. The social connections she did make through being a mother, she made connections with Kelly and Kimmy, and so I do think that she played a good game. Next for number 9, I have Andrew Savage, who was, like I said, blindsided by Sierra and Wentworth. The only thing that I have him higher than Sierra for is because he made relationships through through being friends with people. He and Jeremy were tight, and he actively targeted Spencer because he was always playing the game, and so he knew who to target, and he knew how to build relationships, and that's why I have him higher at number 9. Number 8, I have Cass, and this was a difficult one because she did a so-so game. She really worked on building relationships. I feel like in this season, it's kind of ironic that there was a bunch of voting blocks when everybody tried to make relationships. And so you've got Cass, and she made a bracelet for Kelly Wentworth. And I actually think that this is a great idea on her part to make a bracelet for Kelly Wentworth because, she's got this reputation of being the bad guy. And it's plus, great advantage when Kelly thinks that she is making a fake idol, because then she shows, hey, I'm not this bad guy that everybody thinks I am. In fact, I'm a nice person. And so not only is she doing something good for herself, but she is proving that she might not be this chaos Cass, which she shows that she is in the merge. But until then, I do think she played a great game as a social threat. Next up for number 7, I have Keith. And Keith had a good alliance in Sierra and Kimmy and Kelly. And he was great at challenges, as we know. And really, that's only it. He used his friendship with Kimmy and Wentworth to further himself in the game, which is great. However, a knock against him is that he was willing to be voted out for Kimmy. And, I mean, obviously this is nice of Keith. I'm not saying that this is a weakness or anything, but it is a knock against his game because if we look at Survivor, the goal is to not get voted out, obviously. And so, though I think he is a great person, just that is a knock against his game for Survivor. But like I said, he did make those relationships, and he was great at the challenges, and so I do have him at 7. Next up for number 6, I have Steven. And Steven, this is a tough one because almost the entire time he was at the bottom. But like I said, when I was talking about Andrew Savage, he was targeted because he was always playing the game. He was great at the strategy. He wouldn't stop thinking of the game. If somebody's making a personal connection, you need to get one of those people out because that is a threat against you. And so I think that he was doing that the whole time. And so I do have him here at 6. Next up for number 5, I have Tasha. And this is a hard one because I know the producers don't really like her anymore. And she was kind of like not a threat. But yeah, she made good alliances though. She was in the majority for most of the time. And so I do have her at number 5. Next up for number 4, I have Joe. Joe, who is great at the challenges and who built relationships and was great at the strategy. Like Steven said, he is Survivor MacGyver, number 4. Number 3, I have Steven, and this is an easy one. Steven is one of the best players of Cagayan, one of the best players of Cambodia, and so he had to be number 3, and the transformation that he went from in Cagayan, treating everybody like chess pieces, like he says, and then in Cambodia, going and actually building the relationship so people like him and people want him to win. However, he did get blanked at Final Tribal Council, but he was still a major threat in the final 3. The next one I have is, this might surprise you, but I have Jeremy as number 2. He is the winner. He did build relationships. It was great strategy. He found idols, and I do have him at number 2 because this next person is just so good at the game, and that is Kelly Wentworth. And Kelly Wentworth is number 1. Even though she didn't even make it to the Final Tribal Council, I do think that she played the best game in Survivor Second Chance, and so she is here at number 1. So that is all I have for you for my player rankings for Survivor Cambodia Second Chance. Stay tuned for some more. If you like this, give it a thumbs up down at the bottom, and make sure to comment on which seasons you would like to see player rankings for next time. Thanks for watching. See you later.